Okay.
All right.
Can you tell me, first of all, tell me your name?
Jeannie Alexander.
Oh, great. And Jeannie, what organization are you with?
Nashville Homeless Power Project.
And can you tell me a little bit about why are you here today? What are you doing?
Of course. We're here today because over 5,000 people in Nashville are without homes. We're here because the poor, to no small extent, are being crucified in the streets of America. And it happens over and over and over again. And we're here because we're seeking simple justice. Right? It's not about charity. It's about justice. Right? We're looking at this systemically, and the root causes of the problems. And what we realize, and what we're hoping to convey, is that housing is a human right. And so we're here to help people claim their human right to housing.
Can you just describe to me the actions that took place today from when you started to now?
Absolutely. Well, I got up about 4:30 and took a shower. We've been planning this for, we spent some time this morning planning and talking in prayer and lots of reflection and discernment because this is something we don't take lightly. Right, it does require a lot of discernment, years, right? A lot of discernment. And so we started at the courthouse, and we circled up primarily for prayer. And we marched from the courthouse peacefully across the bridge, the street bridge, and then down to a Citgo on Dickerson. Well, we could caravan over to a local elementary school, Tom Drew Elementary School. And we stopped there. And the reason we stopped there is because there are close to 2,000 homeless school children in the Davidson County area. And since we're on our way to reclaim an empty government home for a homeless family, it seemed very befitting and appropriate to stop and pray at the elementary school where there were certainly homeless children attending class. And so we walked to the very edge of the property and again circled up very peacefully. We prayed, and then we continued on and walked through the neighborhood in a very respectful manner, right? Because while the people who are in here are joyful because they have a home, we recognize and respect the sanctuary and security of the neighborhood, right? And so we came in peacefully and walked into an open house, right? There was no forcible entry, there was no breaking and entering, the house was open. And we were able to come in and clean this house.
And how many people participated in this event today?
I counted over 50 when I saw the most people at any given time. So, considering this was in the middle of a work day, and there was less than a week's notice for it, that should tell you that despite the wheels of government turning slowly in Nashville, there are a lot of people in this town who understand what a crisis we're in and do believe it's a human right. Because something very interesting about the crowd we had, there was an enormous cross-section of people. We had numerous business people who left work, either took several hours off or took the second half of the day off. So there were homeless people, there were people who were not homeless, there were black people, there were white people, there were Latino people. Everyone came together as a community because it is a community problem, right? It's not a problem with homelessness. This is a human rights issue, and therefore it's something that the entire community needs to address.
Now, why this strategy? I mean, there's lots of different kinds of strategies for dealing with homelessness.
Absolutely.
Why this one in particular, and why now?
Well, when we think about strategies, primarily we think about our temporary fixes, right? Because most strategies were implemented for a temporary problem, right? Soup kitchens, for example, meet an immediate need. Shelters, while they will keep people out of the streets, right, when it's freezing up until capacity, and there are never enough beds for people. That is not housing, right? That doesn't provide housing. Right now we know the de facto housing for homelessness is jail. Right? We've seen the increasing criminalization of poverty across the country, right? So these are all strategies dealing with homelessness, right? But what we can't afford to do is nothing, right? It's not enough to, in order to be moral, right, you have to refuse to cooperate with evil, right? Non-cooperation with evil is as important as cooperation with good. So we can't sit idly by, right? So we'll continue to do this. Tonight, with this house, well, we'll continue to have people in the house, right? We'll continue to maintain the property, and we'll see what happens. We'll see where we go from here. We would love to acquire the property, right? And that's happened. That's happened with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of families across the country who were forced to reclaim on their own a government house, and then HUD was able to work with them, and they were willing to work with them so they could keep the house. And that's what we'd like to do for this family. If we can't, though, we're not just going to leave it, right? So they'll do what they have to do, and we'll do what we have to do. But always, always, in the spirit of and through the technique of nonviolence. Because this is ultimately, while we talk about defects in the system, this is ultimately about love. We do this not because we hate anyone. We don't hate, right? We believe the system is unjust, but we love our brothers and sisters who are dying. So.